over, this is just solutions to the conversion quiz. It's 929. And the first problem that you are given, hey, what do you know? I can do that. Says that 923,000 micrograms of some substance is how many grams? And the first thing to do, obviously, is to put it into scientific notation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we get 9.230000 micrograms as our, times 10 to the 6th micrograms as our first box. That's our given. So I'm going to do the whole thing of putting in all my units first. And I'm only going to grams. I only have to do one box. So that I don't screw anything up, I'm going to stick my 1 in there immediately. And this is, of course, 10 to the negative 6th. So, hey, guess what? It's 9.23 grams. You can also write 9.23 times 10 to the 0. That's okay. You don't know yet about rounding and dropping numbers. You'll know about that tomorrow, actually. So as for right now, don't round anything because you don't know the rules yet. And there are rules, and they are pretty serious stuff for chemists. Okay, the next one we have 3.34 millimeters of something, and we'd like to know how many centimeters that is. And this isn't a crazy conversion. So it's 3.34 millimeters, meters, centimeters. Stick my 1s in so I don't do something dumb. 10 to the negative 3rd. 10 to the negative 2nd. You know what? I think for most of you, you didn't even need the note card, did you? No, because you know more than you think you do. So, are you familiar with the concept of Dumbo's feather? How many of you have seen the movie Dumbo? He's a little elephant who can fly because he flaps his ears. He's real cute. The crows give him a feather to hold on to so that he can fly like them. Does the feather do anything for him? No. That note card was Dumbo's feather. You had it. And it's an expression I'll use very often. Very often you know it. You just need a Dumbo's feather. So today it was the note card. It was face down on your desk. Most of you didn't use it. If you found that you did need to rely on it or you needed to change stuff, just work on those. But by this point you've used them enough, and that's the best way to learn something, is to just use it. If you're not using it, why are you memorizing it? So, okay. You do all this, you end up with 3.34 times 10 to the negative 3 minus negative 2, which gives you 3.34 times 10 to the negative 1st centimeters. And you've made sure that all your units cross. You know you're ending up in centimeters. Okay, next one, 8.32 micrograms. And we want to go to picograms. So micrograms, grams, picograms, 1, 1. 10 to the negative 6th, 10 to the negative 12th. 8.32 times 10 to the negative 6th minus negative 12. So we're adding 12 to negative. Yes, ma'am. Did you check all your stuff? Okay. So what we end up with is 8.32 times 10 to the 6th picogram. So 8 million picograms, roughly speaking. Okay. 2,956 megagrams. And for some insane reason, we want to know how many centigrams that is. So 2.956 times 10 to the 3rd megagrams. And I noticed this is such a strange thing. I have a feeling a few of you are in my club for number transpositions. I tend to flip numbers, and it's a really common mistake. It's just something to be aware of if you're doing it a lot. And I saw a few people who had like 2.59, which I think on my key I initially did. So just if you know that you do that, kind of slow down and double check yourself when you have long strings of digits, because otherwise you tend to make mistakes you don't have to. Okay, so we have that in megagrams. We would like to get to centigrams. Megagrams, grams, grams, centigrams. 1, 1. 10 to the 6th grams in a megagram. 10 to the negative second grams in a centigram. So we get 2.956 times 10 to the third plus 6 minus negative 2, or 2.956 times 10 to the 11th. If you are still, and I think I only saw a few instances of this, but if you're still having a hard time with what to do with exponents when you're multiplying and dividing, that's just a skill to brush up. The next one, 2390 picograms going to kilograms, 2.390 times 10 to the third picograms, picograms, grams, grams, kilograms, voomp, voomp, 10 to the negative 12th, 10 to the negative third. Okay, so we get 2.390 times 10 to the negative 12th kilograms. Tiny little number. Okay, 0.52 milligrams is how many megagrams? 5.2 times 10 to the negative 1 milligrams. And we're putting in milligrams, grams, grams, megagrams. Voomp, voomp. Get those ones in there before you can screw it up. 10 to the negative third, 10 to the sixth. 5.2 times 10 to the negative 1 plus negative 3 minus 6. So we get 5.2 times 10 to the negative 10 megagrams. Okay, the last two. Okay, so 750 nanograms. We're going to convert that into scientific notation, so we get 7.50 times 10 to the second nanograms, nanograms, grams, and we're heading into milligrams. So grams, milligrams. Whoop, whoop. 10 to the negative 9th. Nano is the 9th. That's one of my mnemonics for remembering that. Nano is 9th. Yeah. And milli is negative third. There's no good mnemonic for that. 7.50 times 10 to the second plus negative 9 minus negative 3. And that gives you 7.50 times 10 to the negative fourth milligrams. Okay, last one, 0.25 kilograms. And we want to know how many micrograms that is. There's a really arcane mnemonic for micro. So well, let me finish the problem first. So 2.5 times 10 to the negative first kilograms, kilograms, grams, grams, micrograms, voomp, voomp, 10 to the third, 10 to the negative sixth, 2.5 times 10 to the 1 plus 3 minus negative 6. We get, negative 1. We get 2.5 times 10 to the 8th micrograms. Okay, so good job, guys. This symbol, do you remember what that symbol's called? Well, it stands for micro. The symbol itself is a Greek letter. Do you remember its name? I'm going to give you a clue. I may not have told you this. I don't know. The symbol is called mu. That's the Greek letter. Get it? Mu, mu. And so, this is, like I said, this is a multi-step mnemonic. My mnemonic is a very tiny cat. It's a micro cat. So, That's my micro cat. I just can't resist really bad science jokes. Okay, so tutorial on significant figures will be up by the end of the school day today. Watch it. If there is a quiz, it will be like a 5-question recall quiz. Tomorrow when you come in, we'll discuss it, we'll practice, I'll have a practice sheet for you, and then we'll FIP on Thursday. So you guys are doing a fantastic job. You're way above average in terms of where you're at as a group. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow.